Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah, I guess so.
Roll it.
You're listening to the Fight for Together podcast.
Kind of need a drink here. Actually, I don't need one, but I really, really like this beer. And I've been trying to watch the carbs, but I didn't have any alcohol on date night tonight.
You've been trying to watch the carbs?
Well, yeah, after the AT and the sugar and stuff, I just feel like the weight's going to come back, like, quick.
Yeah. Well.
Let me help you out here a little bit. Sorry about that. So I'm drinking this Lagunitas Citrus Anesis. So good. And it smells really good down here in the basement where we're recording this because we had all this wood come in from the tree we took down. So it smells like fresh cut wood. Am I gonna have to? I gotta jumpstart this or what? So.
Yep.
Okay. Cammie and I are in a bit of a fight. And we're going to talk about it. And for me, there's two reasons why I want to talk about it. 2.5. The first is it's really hard to authentically podcast if we're in a fight and we're not talking about the fight.
Talking about, yeah.
So if we were like, hey guys, today let's talk about 14 steps to financial and relational freedom. And we're like, we can't even like stand each other. That would feel really disingenuous to me. And then the second thing is maybe this will help some folks because I know a lot of our marriage, I felt like we would always fight, but no one else seemed to fight. And it made me feel really lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And the half from the 2.5 reasons is I think for my own sanity, I need to... Why is there flies down here?
They're fruit flies.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I need to talk about some of the things I don't want to talk about because if I don't, I feel like there's the podcast life where it becomes this like double life, and then there's like our real life, and the further those split, the more fake I feel like I'm being, and that has not worked out well for me in the past.
I don't think it works out for anyone.
I don't think so either, but I don't want to judge, you know? Okay, so I can see I'm going to have to keep this conversation moving here. You okay?
Yeah. Okay.
You comfortable?
It seems weird because like they can't see my mouth if it's like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that from the video last time. I wish
It was like, there it goes.
Well, it's the video is like bonus material.
All right.
I wouldn't look at that thing too much. That would just distract.
Okay.
Now are you okay?
Good enough.
Eyes here. Okay, so I figure we should tell a story, which it's always a little embarrassing to talk about the fights because I think once I start talking about it, I realize how dumb it sounds on the outside, maybe. But what can we do? All we can do is bring our
Who we
stuff.
are.
Yeah. So we're not staying in our house right now because renters are showing up tomorrow.
Yeah. We've been in Ben's parents' house for a week tomorrow. Will be a week.
Which is not super relaxing for us because we're all in 2 bedrooms and worried about stepping on people's toes and that kind of thing. But anyways, so Cammie went off to...
Take Flea to the dentist.
Which is cool. Now we have pirate teeth together.
She's
I
got
I have all
3.
sorts of metal in my teeth,
Yeah.
and now she does too.
Yep.
And then you came back, and I was like kind of wanting a little bit of a PDA like connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I like made a move on you, and you were like, "Leave me alone. I got to go to the bathroom."
I don't think I said leave me alone.
No, not with your words.
Yeah. I didn't really make much eye contact, and I kind of walked past you quickly and just said, I have to go pee really bad. And I think I was, anyways, I was drained from just sitting in a dentist's office for an hour and a half.
And I felt like it was more than needing to go pee. I felt like it was like rebuff. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the negative way of putting it. That's how you felt.
that's how I felt.
Yes. Okay.
So then like, okay, that happened. And then nothing else happened for the entire afternoon.
You went to racquetball, or we had lunch. Then you went to racquetball shortly after that.
Well, and when I say
And
nothing
then-
else happened, because like what I wish would have happened is you would have come back and said like, hey, I went pee, I'm done, I'm like willing or ready to connect. Now, keep in mind, I'm just like leery of the comment section here because people are gonna go nuts and they're gonna say things like, Ben, you're such a baby, Ben, you shouldn't expect Kim to do that.
Well, that's cyberbullying. If they do that.
Well, I'm going to
'Cause-
cyberbully back because to that I would say, fuck off, one, like, I can do whatever I want. And two, I'm not saying that Cammie was wrong or that you owed me anything, but my feelings are legitimate, just like everyone's feelings are legitimate. And I think some people, actually, I think it's weird. There's this weird, like, it comes across as feminism.
It's sexist. You
But
can
it's
say
like it can be anti-male
Yeah.
or anti-Enneagram 8 or anti whatever you want to call it, strong
Yeah.
personalities, and it's like saying something like, because I had a man hurt me, like you're wrong basically automatically. And I'm not even saying I'm right. I'm just saying these were the feelings that were going on with me.
Yeah.
And I've learned that they're legitimate in that they're real, and I have to deal with them. So I want to just get that out there because I think that might be distracting for people if they're like thinking I'm making a case against you. I'm not. I'm just saying how it felt.
Yeah. And I don't feel like you're doing that.
The same phenomenon occurred, by the way, when we were hiking the Appalachian Trail, and we were like holding a camera to our face, hiking 20 fucking miles a day, and we're like, this is really hard. This sucks. Like, my feet hurt. And people online left these comments like, it feels like you guys are just bitching all the time. And I'm like, maybe, but like,
Actually, we're just sharing our feelings.
yeah. And we're not complaining. Like we still choose the Appalachian Trail over like any place else in the world to be.
But if we didn't complain ever, even if that, I don't know if that's what we were actually doing, we actually wouldn't be showing the real stuff. So maybe what those people were really saying is like, we just want to see fake, like happy,
Positivity.
like everything's great all the time.
Yeah. But those people don't listen to this podcast, so we don't need to worry about them. So, sorry, we're just a little bit sunburned from the past, but all the disclaimers. So anyways, I wanted something to happen. Like, I wanted you to come back. I still wanted to physically connect with you. And I'm not talking, like, 10 minutes here, ladies and gentlemen, or sex, or I'm talking about, like, a hug or a kiss or, you know, any type of married. It could have been a tiny bit of hanky-panky groping or whatever. There's something, but I'm not looking for, like, arousal level. So that shows you, like, we're talking 1 or 2 minutes here. But Cammie's, like, not,
Yeah.
she's not there. Which
So I went back to the house, went to the bathroom, and then I thought about going and finding you. I kind of thought maybe you would come back. And then I got all caught up in lunch drama with 18 people in the house. Not really, but a lot of people in the house trying to figure it out with multiple adults and Ben's parents and me and all the kids. And I could have come back, and I think, I don't know if we're ready to say this yet, but like I realized later, like an hour later or something, that what I could have done, and I think I kind of get black and white sometimes. If I need something, I get really like extreme with it, like in my way. I'm just like,
yes, you have definitely done that.
Go away.
Because Cammy, like, historically doesn't have boundaries.
Yeah, and so
then she's like, I'm gonna have a boundary today.
And
it's not gonna be. I'm gonna like go to the death with it. And
so I'm learning how to. You can still have a boundary, but not. You don't have to be such a hard ass, or you can let So, anyways, what that would I think look like for me would have been, oh hi, Ben.
Hi, Cammy.
I really need to go to the bathroom, and I need like 10 minutes, and then I'll come back out and connect with you somehow. Say hi again or whatever we do. So I wish I would have done that. But
and I wish you would have done that too.
Yeah, and
like,
so
I would have been super cool with that.
I told Ben that, and I apologized, and I said, I think that would have been better for me to do that. And
which also, just to be clear, I don't think you wronged me. Like, I don't feel like you owed me an apology, but it was really nice because we do have this history where, and these people might not know this, our listeners, but that's weird, I guess. I feel like when you say, "Oh, our listeners out there," it feels like we're a super legit podcast. Which we do have like a lot of people listening. Like, I feel like 500 people listen to our other episodes, which is like, holy crap, that's a lot of pressure.
I just don't think about it.
I know. It's probably better that way. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't feel like you owe me an apology, but we do have this like kind of like pain from the past where one of our dynamics that you've admitted to is being a little bit out to lunch when it comes to my needs or desires. Like, you tune out, and when I say tune out, I mean she'll like tune out for like 3 years, tune out.
That's extreme, but I'm sure it feels that way.
I don't think it was that extreme in our early years of marriage.
Maybe not the early years, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe not.
So it's not extreme.
I had a lot of floors to clean and counters to wipe.
Yes, that's how you tuned out. And that was a dynamic from the past. So
yeah.
A lot of what's happening now, I think, is not even really about now. It's about pain from the past that I think we've dealt with, but then every once in a while it comes up. Yeah. Okay, so that happened, and then.
And I think there's this other dynamic between you and I where Ben has a more assertive, aggressive, forward personality than I do. And so one of the only ways sometimes I know how to deal with that is to be put you at arm's length, especially in the past. I think I'm learning how to not do that more, but like, I know it's like, oh, I know he's coming at me, and it's going to be hard for me to say no, so I just scream no instead. I mean, I don't literally do that, but
you hit me.
I hit you. No. Not usually.
So then it's Wednesday night, which is our date night, and I'm like, I have this mode where I'm like on and I'm off. and then I was like, off tonight.
Yeah. Which I, especially in the past, have interpreted that as, oh, you're pulling away from me. You're becoming emotionally distant. And I think I had a really, really hard time understanding that's actually not what he was doing. Ben just didn't have any more mojo or energy to pursue me, because his personality and our dynamic, like, he like is more has I shouldn't say, I feel like we both pursue each other just in different ways. But anyways, the ways that you normally pursue me are like gone.
Yes. And I think, well, to your credit, I used to withdraw a lot.
Right. So maybe that's
for like 3 days at a time.
That's baggage from the past coming up and being like, you're doing this when
well,
maybe
and there's
this
all this
time...
stuff from your family where you felt that, and you would like accuse me of being your mother.
I felt that from my family and from like past like abusive relationships too. Yeah.
Not saying your mother was
not my
abusive.
family. No, sorry.
Well,
no.
I just want to clarify in case there's some secret listeners out there.
No, I wasn't talking about my family. Outside of my family.
Okay, where were we? So normally I feel like my attraction to you and my aggressiveness, I operate generally at a baseline of about 150% of a normal man.
It's really fun to hear you admit that.
Yeah.
Where's the clapping?
Okay, so why are you having the audience clap?
Because I think, well, sometimes I wonder if it's just me. Like,
You think I think I'm normal?
No, not necessarily, but sometimes it's hard for me to realize that you're not, especially in that way. Like, I know there's ways that you're obviously not normal, but that, like, I don't hear, people don't talk about this kind of stuff, so I don't know all the different dynamics, but I generally can sense a lot of the men, married men, or men in relationships, I'll just say married men, just for comparison, that I've seen, I don't see that same dynamic. At least I don't see it. So I'm like, maybe it's just behind the bedroom door. But I've had moments where I'm just like, yeah, Ben's kind of different. And I don't even mean that as a diss at all. I just think,
well, so let's explain what we mean a little bit.
so it's confirming, or it's comforting to hear you. That's why I wanted to.
Well, I've never given an exact number, but I didn't know that was that surprising to you.
It's not surprising. It's just I don't know if I've ever heard you say it like that.
So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first and say, like, what when we say 150%, what do we mean?
That you pursue me.
Sure.
Emotionally / physically.
So you're going first.
A number. What do you mean?
No. I want to talk about what that 100% means, what that looks like.
Okay. You go first.
Okay. So I feel like I'm like been more attracted to you every day that we've been married more than the day before.
Dang. Really?
You don't think that?
Well, I think that from like 10 years ago, but you think every day is like gets exponentially like.
Well, I don't track it day by day. I'm just saying, like, as I look in, year out, I come after you, I'm interested, I pursue you, I want to connect with you.
Yeah.
More, and I'm more excited about you and our relationship than ever. Always. When I say always, I don't mean 24/7. I mean, like, over the 18 years I've been married, it's always like increased. I mean, we've had like a week or two or a month maybe where that we've had a bad time period, but I'm just talking about in terms of a trend line.
Yeah.
So how that manifests it is I'm always like saying romantic things to you, like I love you. I'm like slapping you on the ass. I'm like making moves on you.
This is where I'm gonna get cyberbullied. I can feel it.
Why? Why would you? Everyone's gonna be like, oh, Cammie, she's a mom of 6 kids. She shouldn't have to deal with a man that likes her.
No, they're gonna be like, I wish my husband did that. Maybe.
I wish that our husbands did that.
Yeah. Me too.
So yeah, maybe. I don't think you deserve to be cyberbullied. And I'll say I've sensed the same from you. Like I feel like every year that our marriage has gone, you are more. Now you started at 10%.
Yeah.
And now you're only up to 35.
Negative 10%. No.
But
after the honeymoon. Sorry.
Well, I mean, relative to me, but you know, I know moms and you had your own baggage and stuff, and we're just different people.
Yeah, it was baggage, personality, being a mom.
Everything was against us in that way.
Right.
So, anyways, I operate 150%, and then Cammie, you know, my feelings get hurt. So then I feel like I drop to maybe 100% or like 80%, where I'm like, okay, I don't want to kiss you. I'm not interested in holding hands. I hardly even want to go on the date. And I'm like, that's every dude in America I just turned into. But now all of a sudden you're like, you're being such a jerk. And I'm like, sorry, I just don't feel like it. You should know what that is like. But I mean,
I don't know if I just don't think it's like a one-to-one comparison.
I agree.
But yeah.
Especially because of the past, I think I used withdraw to control you.
Manipulation. Yeah. Yeah, well, that about sums that up. You just
Nice
said.
try. So then, well, do you have anything you want to add about that 150%? Because I was going to go first, and then you were going to give your side of the story.
Well, I'll just say, like, there's times where I just want to walk past Ben to go do my next thing, and usually I can't just walk past him because he'll reach out and want to touch me somehow, or usually it's that, or talk to me, or and I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because I actually think when that's not there, I like really miss it. But with my personality, sometimes I'm just like, less is more. Or I'm just like in the mode with something else. And it takes a lot of energy for me, I think more than you, to like be physically affectionate.
Yeah. And I don't want to make it sound like my 150% is all noble or good. I think a lot of it is personality, and I don't think it's like, I don't think I'm 150% of a man or a human, and that you should be 100. I think if you were 150% and I was 150%,
oh my gosh,
that'd be 300%.
We would neglect our children, maybe.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I used to wish that you were me in that way, and now I'm like, you know, it's probably good that one of us started at 10%.
We balance.
It hurt though. But
yeah.
So I'm not saying like that's a good thing, because I think it can be like needy, and you know, sometimes it's for you and sometimes it's just for me. Like it's not.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah.
So then we went out to dinner.
Yep.
So I'm kind of like, normally I would plan the date and I'd be interested in smoking with Cammie and talking, and I'm like,
you can smoke by yourself.
which is the ultimate diss to Cammie now, because all she wants to do is smoke.
In case you're wondering, I like cigars. People are like, why do you smoke? Like, at least in our YouTube comment section.
Why do you eat fast food? It's because it's good. Okay, so we're eating pizza, and I wasn't like, I was like, listen, wherever you want to go, you plan this, because I just don't care. I They didn't really care about being there. But I wasn't happy not being there either. I just wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the huge thing that I've learned. This is gonna sound really epic, but it's actually not. I learned to share that my feelings were hurt, and it's a slight difference in wording, but I wouldn't say you hurt my feelings, although I could probably get away with saying that. But my feelings were hurt by you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a fact of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel gay if I said that. Like, remember? Like, I used to say, oh, I could not say those words come out of my mouth because it just sounded like something a girl would say.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that's not gay.
Yeah, sorry if anyone out here is.
I'm using it as a derogatory term because that's how I thought about it. This is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I used to feel like it was like unmasculine, less masculine to say my feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
Now I think it's a fact of the matter. I have two choices: to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, in which case it'll come out in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
I'll either tune out to internet or porn or whatever, iPhone, Instagram, or I'll throw rocks at your head. Like,
Yeah.
that's what guys do to girls when they like them in kindergarten, but they don't know how to say it. They just like, I'll like poke you or whatever. So I used to actually do that.
Yeah, you did. And you weren't 5.
Hey, grown
Oh,
men don't
yeah.
know how to deal with
You're right.
feelings. I didn't. No one taught me how.
Yeah.
To say, oh, are you hurt?
Yeah.
Well, and actually, you know who did talk about that? Mr. Rogers.
Hmm.
He's the only person I know that really talked about feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But he was still talking to kids too.
Mm-hmm.
But they're true for adults.
No, they
So
are.
anyways, a huge win for me was to just say my feelings are hurt. Now, I don't think it's your job to fix that. But even just for me to acknowledge that to myself, it lets me know, okay, this is, like, I can trace the breadcrumbs back. In order to move forward, I just have to deal with that fact. I have to forgive you in my heart, even if you did nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. I have to learn how to just deal with the pain. Once again, this maybe you did something wrong, maybe you didn't. But it still hurts.
Yeah.
And maybe my expectations were good, maybe they're bad, maybe they're, unrealistic. I think in this case, that was like they were unrealistic. Like when I heard your side of the story, I was like, I don't think you did anything wrong. In fact, even when you apologized, I was like, I don't think you owe me an apology, but I do appreciate it.
Yeah. And there's this other dynamic too that I don't think we've talked about where when I would feel like Ben's pulling away from me, but really he's just not pursuing me. I guess in the past you did do that, but more now you're just not pursuing me at 150%. I would feel, I would get like super panicky. And even today, like I got pretty upset. And so but I've learned to just walk away. And like, because in the past I would try to force you to talk and fix whatever it is, and not really fix it, but like I didn't like how it made me feel. So
that's the only time Cammy would initiate sex is when we got into this dynamic, and it would piss me off.
So I've learned to just kind of walk away. And I did, and I cried a little bit and walked away, and then came back when I felt a little bit more sane or less affected by my emotions, so that I could actually hear you and talk without trying to manipulate. Because I think I used to manipulate too, where I would say these things to try to get you.
You'd say sorry.
To talk about your emotions.
And you weren't sorry.
Yeah, I would just say sorry.
You'd like scream and yell.
Yeah,
You'd
definitely.
hit me.
That happened, only once,
No.
right?
I mean, it probably happened like The worst time was that one time, but I think it's happened 3 or 4 times.
Oh, really? I've
Yeah.
blocked those ones out.
Well, you'd like slam doors and throw shit and.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've learned to just walk away, come back. And it's really, but that's like a huge step for me. I mean, you talk about you talking about your emotions. For me to let you be hurt and not completely melt down is really good for me. It's really good for me.
I agree. And then you were trying to get me to have sex with you after pizza before the podcast. But I'm like...
Which is still good, because in the past it would have been before I would need it before we would go, before I could feel okay. And it still felt like our date felt kind of funny, but I was okay. Like, I'm like, the world's not combusting. It's okay that Ben's dealing. And I think part of that is I'm developing healthy detachment from you.
Remember you had that line that our therapist told you to read?
Yeah.
It was so funny when you'd read it to me. It was kind of cute. You're like,
I see.
I'm sorry you're disappointed.
Disappointed.
I am emotionally detaching. 3, 2, 1. Boop. I just added the countdown, but...
Yeah. But that is what that is, because if I can let you be hurt and not be melting down, then I think that shows that there's some healthy emotional detachment going on. And it's still hard for me. Like I said, I cried for a few minutes, but whatever. I used to not be able to function because you were like this extension of me or something weird. I'm sure there's some psychology word.
Now, in the
for
past, we would have this, like, crazy animalistic.
You just want to get back to talking about sex, don't you?
Duh.
Animalistic.
Well, it was
Dang.
our most passionate. Maybe that was a...
Carnal.
Yeah.
I think I like that word
Okay,
better than
fine.
animalistic.
Let's go that,
But
then.
I don't know why.
I wasn't thinking, like, T-Rexes. I was thinking,
Chimpanzee.
no. I was thinking more like the lions. Have you ever seen them on YouTube?
Yes.
Them.
They always do it doggy style, though, right?
With their lions.
They're lions.
So we would have this crazy... The best sex of our life was makeup sex.
Which is sad.
It wasn't at the time. I don't think it's sad.
Yeah,
I think it was just where we're at then.
you're right.
So it was a sign. Okay, sex was so loaded. It was like having sex meant we are one again, and we are not in conflict, which was kind of a lie because sometimes things would just go back to normal after the sex. But it was putting a lot of expectations on the sex, I think.
It was our only way to cope or deal with our problems.
Or communicate,
Yeah.
I think. So it was like incredibly fun, but now it's not that way anymore. Which I actually I mourned that for, I mean, we're talking 5 years now or plus, but for 10 years it was this way. And we just had this pattern, go through this withdrawal thing, like have incredible makeup sex, and things were better-ish, kind of, sometimes, usually temporarily, and then we just go back to the pattern again. But now we've learned how to communicate. I learned how to share that my feelings are hurt and, just deal with that in my own way. And sometimes you dealt with your side of that, but a lot of times it was just me dealing with how to deal with being disappointed as a man and having a fantasy life where, I was always disappointed that you weren't this wife that I wanted you to be or whatever. So the makeup sex now is really not our best sex. We don't even really, I don't even know if we have makeup sex anymore, where maybe we do, but
It's not that. It's not ever that charged.
I think our best sex happens actually like for this last year, like once a week.
Yeah.
Which I think is a lot more sustainable, and I do miss kind of the good old days where we could just, you know, sometimes it's just fun to act like lions. I wish I had a lion sound effect here, but but it was temporary, and I feel like what we have now is better.
Yeah. Yep.
And this all went down between 10 a.m. and now it is 9 p.m. So we're talking like more or less full resolution in less than 12 hours, which is also a bit of a miracle because sometimes this would go on for 3 days.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like the makeup sex thing is sad because I feel like we were doing the best with what we had back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad we've grown past it.
Same here.
You look like you're done with this podcast, the way you're staring at me. So that means it is time for the news. Okay, so in the news this week, first of all, Cammie and I each got our own Instagram accounts.
Yeah,
This is
that's
personal news.
weird.
Which I didn't have. You had one that you didn't use for years?
Oh, yeah. I used it when Instagram was simple. Like, it was just pictures. And there was no, like, editing the pictures.
Yeah, there was. There was filters. You just never used them.
Okay, whatever. It got really complicated in the last 5 years because coming back, I needed a tutorial from Dove. I was like, I don't know how to even post
Well, now
anything.
there's stories.
Yeah. And I did it a tiny bit on Fight for Together, but I wasn't really, not much. Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a few months now, getting back on there. I just kind of felt like, oh, that could be a cool creative outlet / way to, like, I don't know, connect. Just hadn't done it in years. And Fight for Together is like, it's its own thing. It's not.
Yeah,
like
that's what. In fact, I think it was I got an account, right? And then because of that, you got an account?
No. I actually think we got an account the same day. I mean,
What? Just coincidence after 8 years, you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I turned mine on just because you got one.
You think?
Because I remember looking at, I'm pretty sure I turned mine on first, and then I'm like, then I saw you on there, and I was like,
No, because you saw that I got an account, and then you were like,
But I've been thinking about it for a few months. Like,
yeah, I'm sure
I don't
you
think.
have.
Whatever, it doesn't really
I'm not
matter.
saying you're a copycat. I'm just saying maybe the fight's still happening. Part 2.
Yeah.
But I wanted an account because the Fight for Together account, there's a lot of pressure there. Like, I feel like, you know, Fight for Together, it's a bit of a brand in a way. Like, we're not just posting whatever the hell. Like, we want to post stuff that relates to family and togetherness and our life as a family. And I have stuff that I think is really funny that I just don't feel like would fit very well.
And my stuff isn't good enough for Fight for Together.
I don't know if I've ever said that. That might be your daughter's opinion.
Oh, that's okay.
But you had your Rate That Privy, and we were like all for it. And
I only did 2 episodes.
It was your consistency. You're like, I'm going to do this every day.
I know. That's always been my problem. I get like this burst of inspiration and it dies within 24 hours.
So,
yeah, I know. I've been thinking about those Rate Privy thing videos. I was like, how can I like do those on my own? I mean, not those, but something like fun like that on my own account.
okay, next piece of news
Yep.
is, dang it, what's his name? Shane's
Dawson.
episode 5 of Jake Paul came out, which by the time you're hearing this is probably long past. But
Yeah. It's old news.
But it's the first one that didn't suck. And this is the top video.
And when we say
YouTube
suck,
creator
like
right now.
his what do you call it? Like it's
IMO.
it's like his stuff is really well done, as in like not the content but the
I felt like it was manipulative the way he edits.
That's not what I was gonna say. Like, I'm just saying, like, he's a good, like, he has a ton of talent.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's being used for evil. The other episodes.
It's a little too far, but.
Okay, but they're just dramatic. They're like overly dramatic. They're making him look like this villain.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
So they're creating this like false thing, and
I think they just got kind of carried away, and he even said that. Like,
yeah,
and
he's on this, but it was like just overly entertaining for entertainment's purpose.
Right. But this last episode was this was the 4th or 5th. Was this the 5th one?
Which one? I told you so. I told you he was going to fall in love with Jake, and they're going to be best friends.
You did.
From the very beginning, I said that because why else would you paint him to be such a villain?
And then be
if there wasn't like
he's just misunderstood.
Which is actually true, and I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying he's smart. He's not an idiot. He's a businessman.
Jake.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's taking advantage of our children by selling them stuff.
He's
but
fucking 21. He's like a kid.
But you know what else I thought was fascinating was the first 2 episodes sucked. The 3rd episode sucked.
They were entertaining, but
hardly.
Yeah, some of them were entertaining.
And then the 4th episode, he interviews Nick Crompton, who was Jake's business partner, closest business partner.
That was mildly interesting.
And then the last one is really interesting, where he actually talks to Jake Paul. But this is the theme. This is the thing that I noticed that I want to say.
Yeah.
The more closer you get to the actual person you're talking about, the harder it is to be fake and just entertaining.
Yeah.
Because he's looking the guy in the actual eyes.
Right.
And he was different. Like he wasn't as, those like faces he was making when he was like watching his videos. He's not making those every time Jake's saying something.
Yeah, he's listening, and there's like empathy going on.
Because there's like humanity staring you in the eyes. And even when he's talking to his best mate, the COO, Nick Crompton, he was like respectful, and it was different. And it wasn't just entertaining and shocking. I feel like he has this like shocking thing where he's like, he sees this video and he like bites his teeth and he's like covers his mouth, his hands, and it's just like, give me a fucking break. But you would think, oh no, he's just being real. But he's being real to a face on the internet, or a faceless person on the internet. So I just think,
and it's easy to do that.
Like
we all do that when you're not right in front of the person. It's so easy.
Totally.
Just to
Okay, well, it is time. Dang it, that's the wrong one. Is it? Nope. Is it why? No.
What are you trying?
I'm looking for the phone one, but it doesn't matter anyways because the joke's over. But I was gonna say we actually don't even have any phone calls because you guys didn't leave any messages. So I'm gonna guilt trip you.
Sorry.
But if you would like to leave a message in the future, the phone lines are wide open. You have to go to the Anchor app, and you can just leave one there, and it takes like less than a minute. And I think would be fun and slightly more interactive, but that's up to you guys to just tell you if that's worth your time.
But instead, we have.
Ooh, way to give it to him, Cammie. Way to give it to him. How does it feel, huh? Huh?
How does it feel?
Okay, but I have these things that I want to say at the end of every podcast. We don't have any ads or sponsors, but if you want to help us out, one thing you could do is you could tell people that you think would be interested or benefit from this type of conversation about our podcast. You could like email them or text them and say, hey, this is really interesting. I think you might like it. We would really appreciate it if you would consider that. Also, we want to thank our Patreons, people that are already funding us from, I guess it's like previously from the vlog, but all the money gets spent in the same place. So that's what we use to buy these microphones and feel like people got our backs and stuff like that, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, To discuss this episode, we have a Facebook discussion group, and all these links are in the show notes. And it's a Facebook discussion group, and there hasn't been any conversation yet about the vlog, but we have the ability to like group it by topics. So like we could.
You mean about the podcast?
Sorry, about the podcast, yeah. So for example, if people are talking about episode 4, we could like put it in a category of episode 4. So I'm excited to do that. If you guys want to like dive in deeper.
I bet there'll be some conversation after podcast 4.
Last one.
Whatever one comes out Monday, I think.
The nudist one?
Yeah.
I think that's not out.
No, I know, but by the time they hear
that's
it.
That's fine. Yeah. Also, I wanted to let you guys know that this podcast is actually all over the place now. It's on Anchor, it's on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Castbox, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Stitcher. I haven't even heard of any of those. But if there's another one that you'd like, screw you, because
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Options,
so if that doesn't work for you, and it's on YouTube, of course, I just don't know. I don't think it's going to work if that doesn't work for you.
We may not be the podcast for you.
But actually, what I would also like, while we're on the topic of YouTube comments, is if you guys, is there any like technical issues with this? I don't even like listen to these. Like, part of the deal with getting these out is we have like limited time. So we like record it. I try and upload it that night. There's no editing. I don't like go through and listen to it to check the audio quality. I'm just trusting that it like works. Like we do a sound check. So if there's any like technical improvements that you guys can think of, I'd love to hear about those, because we actually do want it to be well done and accessible. Mm-hmm. But it's low production.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
Thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you. And I hope that this is something that you guys can use in your own marriages to not feel as alone, maybe spark some conversations that you can tell your spouse, hey, listen to what Cammie said at 20 minutes. Maybe you should pay attention to that. It'll be easier than owning it yourself and saying, I wish you did it. All right. That's it.
Thank you for listening to Fight for Together. We'll